My son is autistic. He never harms anyone. But that fake HOA officer still shouted in his face. The moment I stepped onto the porch, everything around me disappeared. All I saw was a man in a cheap, fake uniform standing at the bottom of my wheelchair ramp, pointing his finger at my autistic son like he was scolding a criminal. My boy sat frozen in his wheelchair, wide-eyed, hands tight on the armrests, the way he always holds them when he's scared. Beside me, my wife was already yelling back at the man, her voice shaking with anger. He's autistic. He didn't do anything wrong. But the fake HOA officer didn't care. He didn't soften, didn't even pretend to listen. His face stayed hard and cold as he said, "Your child broke the HOA behavior rules." My wife's mouth fell open. My heart stopped for a moment. Then heat rushed through my whole body. I was still in my Navy SEAL workout shirt, sweat drying on my shoulders, boots laced from my morning run. The man looked at me, but either he didn't realize who I was, or he thought he could challenge me anyway. He stepped onto my ramp like it belonged to him and reached for the back of my son's wheelchair, like he was going to take him away. That was the moment something inside me snapped. But before we get there, you need the backstory. We had only lived here for 2 weeks. Just enough time to unpack boxes, and more than enough time for HOA President Karen Mollieri to show us what kind of person she really was. The first time she saw my son, she gave a tight fake smile, then whispered loudly to her friend, "They're letting anyone move in now." We ignored it. Then she complained that our wheelchair ramp ruined the perfect look of the cul-de-sac. Then she sent a violation letter saying my son made disruptive noise, even though he barely speaks above a whisper. Then she told neighbors our son was disturbing community balance. And 2 days ago we caught her taking pictures of our ramp and muttering, "That boy doesn't belong here." We stayed quiet. We wanted peace. But Karen didn't. This morning, the moment she saw my truck wasn't in the driveway, she sent her HOA security officer, a man in a bargain uniform, a wannabe cop, a bully with a badge sticker on his vest. He marched straight up my ramp and pointed at my son. "This child must be removed from the community event area. He does not meet behavior standards." My wife stepped in front of him. "He's autistic. He didn't do anything." He ignored her completely. And then he did the unthinkable. He grabbed the wheelchair handles and tried to pull my son away from our own front door. That's when I moved. Keys dropped from my hand. My muscles tightened. My fists curled. I stepped between him and my boy and said in a low, warning voice, "Touch my kid again, and see what happens." The fake officer smirked. "Try me, tough guy." He leaned so close I could smell his cheap cologne. "Try me," he repeated. That was it. My wife grabbed my arm, whispering, "Honey, don't." But she didn't finish because the officer reached for my son again. His hand shot forward toward the wheelchair. I didn't think. I didn't plan. My body reacted. I grabbed his wrist before he touched the chair. His eyes went wide, but it was too late. I twisted hard, a clean joint lock. His whole body folded like someone cut the power to his spine. He screamed. I pushed him back and said, "That's strike one." He stumbled, holding his wrist, but somehow still tried to act tough. "You assaulted an HOA officer," he shouted. My wife snapped. "You grabbed a disabled child." He ignored her and lunged at me. Strike two. He swung wildly, desperate and clumsy. I dodged easily, grabbed his vest, and punched him square in the face. A sharp crack echoed through the morning air. He fell to one knee, blood running from his nose. But he still wasn't done. "You're under arrest," he wheezed, reaching for his belt. Maybe fake cuffs, maybe a fake baton. Didn't matter. I grabbed his vest again and hit him with another hard right hook. His head snapped sideways and he fell flat on the grass. He tried to crawl. He tried to reach for my son a third time. That was his final mistake. I grabbed the back of his vest and dragged him off the ramp. He threw a weak elbow at me, so I answered with one last punch to the jaw. He went limp. Completely out. My son whimpered, confused and scared. My wife rushed to him, whispering, "It's okay, baby. Daddy's here. You're safe." I took a slow breath, then pulled out my phone. 911, I said calmly. "A fake officer tried to take my disabled son. He's down. Send deputies and an ambulance." The operator asked if he was breathing. "Yeah," I replied. "But he won't be waking up anytime soon." Deputies arrived fast. Lights flashed across the yard while paramedics lifted the unconscious fake HOA officer onto a stretcher. My son still clung to my wife's sleeve, shaking but safe. His eyes stayed wide, confused by everything happening around him. I kept my hands visible and calm, not because I feared trouble but because discipline never leaves a trained soldier. One deputy, a younger guy with steady hands, stepped toward my wife first. "Ma'am, did the suspect hit your child?" She shook her head quickly. "He tried to grab him twice. We both saw it." That was enough for them. They didn't push questions. They didn't need to. Because at that exact moment, another deputy reviewing my neighbor's Ring camera footage walked over, face pale and tense. "You're going to want to see this," he said. The video showed everything. The fake officer marching up our ramp, pointing at my son, ignoring my wife, grabbing the wheelchair handles, trying to drag my child away. Every frame was clear. Every second impossible to deny. And that's when Karen Mollieri came storming down the sidewalk like she owned the entire street. Hands on her hips, chin up, acting like she held real power. "What is going on here?" she demanded. One deputy stepped toward her. Another blocked her from getting too close. Karen pointed straight at me. "That man assaulted my HOA security officer. Arrest him. He attacked my employee." My wife snapped back instantly. "He tried to take our son." Karen rolled her eyes, and said, "That child has caused problems since they moved in. I told my officer to remove him for a behavior check." Every deputy froze. "That's kidnapping," one deputy said. Karen blinked, confused and offended. "No, it's an HOA procedure." "There is no HOA rule that allows you to remove a child," the deputy replied firmly. "And especially not a disabled child." Karen tried again. He was resisting. "I only told my officer to escort him." But she didn't get to finish. A paramedic inside the ambulance suddenly called out, "Hey, his phone unlocked when we picked him up." A deputy walked over. He returned a moment later with a dark expression. "Ma'am, his phone is full of your messages." Karen froze. The deputy read one aloud. "Take the kid if you have to. The parents won't fight back. Don't leave until the child is secured. You'll get the rest of your payment after." Neighbors around us gasped. Karen's face turned white. I didn't, that's out of context." The deputy shook his head. "No. You paid someone to take a child. That's a criminal act." Two officers closed in on her. Karen backed up again, then tried to run. She didn't make it 2 steps. They handcuffed her immediately. She shrieked. She kicked. She cursed. But it didn't matter. The entire neighborhood watched her get escorted to a police car, the HOA queen finally losing her throne. Karen Mollieri was officially charged with attempted kidnapping of a disabled minor, conspiracy to commit assault, hiring a civilian as an illegal enforcer, harassment of a vulnerable family, emotional abuse, and paying for an unlawful removal. Her perfect little HOA mask shattered in seconds. And that wasn't even the end of it. Karen's arrest changed everything. Deputies spread across the yard, collecting statements, taking photos, and reviewing every second of video. Paramedics kept checking the fake HOA officer, who still wasn't waking up. My son stayed close to my wife, holding her sleeve tightly. She whispered to him again and again, "You're safe. Daddy's here. It's okay." I stayed calm, answering every question clearly. Years of training made it easy to control my breathing even with my blood still hot. One deputy walked over to me and said quietly, "Yeah, this guy messed with the wrong family." Their tone wasn't aggressive, it was understanding. A few minutes later, another neighbor hurried over. "I recorded everything," he said. "My Ring cam and phone both caught the officer grabbing your kid." "Thank you," I told him. "That helps more than you know." The deputies watched his video too. Same story. Same proof. Same undeniable truth. Meanwhile, Karen sat in the back of the police car screaming about lawyers and community rules, but nobody paid attention. Her power was gone. The ambulance doors closed and they drove the unconscious fake officer to the hospital. Later, doctors reported his injuries were serious. A fractured rib, a concussion, a brain bruise, and a long, uncertain recovery. If he woke up, he would face the same charges Karen faced, plus additional ones for impersonating law enforcement and attempting to abduct a disabled child. Karen's legal battle moved fast. Evidence was overwhelming. Every message on the officer's phone, every camera angle, every neighbor's statement pointed straight at her. In court, she couldn't hide behind her HOA title. She couldn't twist words. She couldn't control anyone anymore. She was convicted of attempted kidnapping, conspiracy to commit assault, using a civilian as an enforcer, harassment of a disabled minor, emotional harm, and paying for an illegal removal. The judge sentenced her to 7 years in state prison, along with $85,000 in restitution to our family for medical expenses, trauma care, and damages. The neighborhood changed after that. People who once stayed quiet suddenly apologized. Some brought food. Some offered help. Some admitted they were scared of Karen too. The truth was clear now. She had targeted the wrong family. And when she tried to use fear and power against us, everything she built collapsed around her. As for me, I didn't celebrate. I didn't smile. I only cared about one thing, the safety of my son. When my boy finally relaxed later that night, holding my hand softly, my wife whispered, "He knows you protected him." I squeezed his hand gently. "I always will." And that's how a fake HOA bully ended up unconscious on a stretcher. How an HOA president ended up in handcuffs. And how this neighborhood learned exactly who we are.